All right, let's talk about going first and second. So let's just call it what it is. Going first, it sucks. It's not the best. However, there are some things that I see in some of the games that I play and some of the games that I watch that people are doing to just set their opponent up to just absolutely always win going second. So I want to make a quick video talking about those things. So why would you ever want to go first, right? So number one, it allows you to be the first player to move all of your stuff, which is an advantage. So that's going to let you stage your things in aggressive places, maybe behind a wall that you couldn't deploy in or your opponent can't ever see you. Like a lot of the L's, your vehicles and infantry can fit to stage to charge the middle or their opponent's expansion. When you go first, you also get to set the tempo of the match. So if you go first and you shove your entire army out onto the middle point or onto your expansion, that's going to force your opponent to have to react to that. If they don't, you're just going to get a big primary lead, and hopefully on their side, on their expansion, you're set up to deny them from scoring it. So if you have that kind of mentality going first, it'll really help you get a primary differential, which you're going to need because they are going to have the bottom turn. Next, not all armies can do this, but the armies that can do benefit greatly from going first because they're able to move block and set their opponent back. So good examples of this. Geniuses are called armies that can deep strike turn 1, 6-inch deep strike, to where they can kind of block their opponent into the deployment zone with moving, or if, say, your opponent is playing, I don't know, Imperial Knights, you're able to drop a line on the sides where an armiger or a big knight can't move through. That's going to allow you to keep more board control for longer, because remember, the game's only 5 turns, right? Next is jailing your opponent in the deployment zone. This is my favorite thing to do with some factions that I play. So basically what that is, for those who don't know, that's when you basically launch a missile of a lot of either models, durable, or just space that's going to charge or stand in front of your opponent's deployment zone to where they just can't leave it. So Zodrad Wartznegge with all his Gretchen is a big example of something that does that. Infiltrators that can advance and charge, that'd be like a Gene Stealer unit with the Broodlord. And there's a million examples of this, but it is very, very impactful. And if you get the roll off going first and your opponent does not have an army or a deployment to prevent that, that can almost win you the game on the spot. Or worst case, it's going to put you in a really good spot to not get cooked on turn 5. And then this last one is not that big of a deal, but it is a real deal. So you do have the first opportunity to bring in reserves before your opponent has a chance to rapid ingress. So you're able to make sure that they don't get a valuable rapid and kind of go from there. So going first, not the worst thing in the world. However, it's not quite as good as going second, which I want to talk about next. All right, and why do we want to go second? I think everyone wants to go second, but what are the specific reasons on why we do want to go second? So number one is you're able to have some reactive play to your opponent's first turn. Meaning if they decide, okay, I'm going to play this game really passive and laid back, you now are able to do the same thing because we know that we have the advantage on primary because we're going second. So if they don't put their stuff out, they put out nothing for you to kill, you literally don't have to do anything. You just need to move your stuff in a safe spot to where you can just score that primary on your expansion, and then if they just play that way for 5 turns, you just always win the game because you're just going to score your little secondaries and match them on those, and then the last turn you're going to get a max on primary because that's just how it goes. So being able to react to how your opponent's mentality is of the game, super, super useful. And one of the biggest reasons going second is great. Now, if you get move blocked or jailed to turn 1, not as great, but we are going to prepare for that, right? You're a player and you see, okay, that can jail me. Let's plan for it and make sure that we can't get cooked by that. Next one, obviously I mentioned it a few times, you got bottom turn scoring. Basically, this means that you're guaranteed almost a max primary on turn 5, assuming you don't kill yourself throughout the whole game and you leave units available to go stand on those things because that's just how the primary is scored at the end of the game. So I've always said an even game will always favor whoever's going second. Pretty much in my opinion. As long as I've been playing that in this most recent editions, whoever goes second has a big advantage if the game is a very tradey back and forth even game. Next, this is a bit newer, is you get to manipulate the points a bit to ensure challenger cards. So how do you do this, right? So let's say your opponent has a 10-point turn 1. And then you draw cleanse and extend battle lines. So what you can do, you just can literally go score extend, and not cleanse on purpose. Now all of a sudden you get a 14 to 20, and then you get a challenger card, and you're only down by 6. And you can do this for realistically the entire game, and then you're going bottom turn. So you just always will have an advantage of having either extra secondary or just a broken strat to kind of push the tempo of the game and kill your opponent. Now, this doesn't work 100% of the time, but you do have the option to really keep track of the score and be like, okay, so my go turn is going to be turn 3, it looks like. Let me make sure that I am down by 6 points for that go turn, so you can draw a pile and consolidate 6 challenger card, or giving something that's not supposed to have sustained or lethals. Lethals are sustained with the challenger card. There's just a lot of cool things you can do with the point manipulation, and I think that it is going to be part of the skill expression of this game for this this format here. So, and then lastly, this kind of goes into being reactive, but it really allows you to take advantage of your opponent playing really passive, and I don't like the word scared, but if they're playing scared, you then also don't have to do anything because you are in a position to very easily win the game if they choose to not come out and play because you are going second once again. So then next, I'm not just going to talk about why they're good and bad. I'm going to talk about why you might be struggling to win going first shortly. So here we go. So I do hear quite a lot, oh yeah, I lost because he went second. And yes, that might be the case a lot of the time, but we don't want to just pout and be sad every time we have to go first. We want to make sure that we're playing the game in a way that is going to allow us to have the best chance to win when we go first, right? Now, sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. However, you'll find that some of these things maybe you're not doing, or maybe you are doing some of these things, which is hurting your ability to win when you go first. So look at your games, really evaluate kind of what happened over the course of the game and how you personally played before you just straight up just, oh, GW can't make the game and going second's broken. So are you playing very passive, and are you taking really teeny trades for 4 or 5 turns over the course of the game? Because remember, when you go first, that will almost always lose you the game. So really look at your games and understand, okay, am I pushing the tempo? Am I causing my opponent to have to come out and play? Or are we just killing scouts and storm boys and Gretchen and trash for 4 or 5 turns before I'll bring out Calgar on turn 5 here, and then your opponent wins because they just get to go stand on a primary, right? So next is, what are you accomplishing on turn 1 to push the tempo of the game? So when you look back at your games, like, are you just sticking a unit that dies instantly on your expansion to a Stormbolter, or are you really shoving models out there that are durable and can take a hit onto those points to force your opponent to have to commit real models to have to kill it, which doesn't allow you to commit your real models back to kill their stuff, and it becomes a nice back and forth of killing actual high value models. So next is, we're going to look at our list. Is your list built to have the tools to force your opponent to interact with you after your first turn? So some examples of units that are good at this is Lone Op, standing on point, durable high OC units that you can put on your expansion or the middle, which is going to cause your opponent to have to expose multiple things to kill those, right? Because if you stick, I don't know, let's just call it, I talk about orcs all the time, so sorry, but let's just say you throw 5 Stormwaves on the middle point. Realistically, what does your opponent have to expose to answer that? Honestly, the answer is not much, like a tactical Marine squad of anything, really, because they're only 5 OC and they die really easily. But now if you were to put, I don't know, a battle wagon on the middle point, or a battle wagon on your expansion, your opponent now has to expose a unit that is strong enough to actually kill that, or you're just going to score the primary. And when you're set up correctly going first, you're going to score your primary expansion because you dropped a brick on there, right? And then they're going to put something on their expansion, but you are going to be staged because you went first to drive or fly something onto their expansion to deny them from scoring it. So now all of a sudden you've developed a 5-point lead. So if you're able to do that over 2 or 3 turns, you have now mitigated your opponent's bottom 5 scoring just like that. And then next is, assuming you do dump your strong things on your expansion or the middle, are you set up to then crack back your opponent for when they expose something that is really strong under theirs? Sorry, I had to cut there. I was having a crazy itch on my face, and I was trying to power through it, but I was not making it. So anyways, lastly, you can mitigate this. You can manage the score to avoid giving up challenger cards to your opponent. I mentioned in an earlier slide, yeah, if you're down by 6 or if you're up by 6, whatever, your opponent can just not do a card or not do a certain action and get a challenger card. However, we're going first. We get to control how many points that we score, so we can do the math. It's okay, he's going to score 5 on primary, so that means if I score 4 points here, I'll only up by 5. Now, there are some times you want to do this. There are some times you don't want to do this. Just something you can be mindful of when you do go first to help control the tempo of the game, because that is the main benefit of going first, is you have the control over the tempo of the game. Because if your opponent doesn't react to what you do, they can also just lose. So really keep all this stuff in mind, guys. I know going first doesn't feel great, but there are things you can do and things you can look at in your gameplay to see if you can make a big difference going first, and hopefully increase your win rate going first quite a bit. So thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. Thanks.